Our buddy Calvin Watkins had a fantastic article on the morning news. If the Cowboys are truly all in, here are the moves that they should make. So let's run through some of these, boys. Upgrade the defensive line. And he's not just saying, hey, do this blanket statement. He's given us a name of who to go after. So you've got
Chris Jones.
The run defense. No, I'd love Chris Jones. Okay, I would love that. I don't think Kansas City's letting him go. How about a guy we haven't talked about? Grover Stewart, 6'4", 314 pounds.
Boom.
Tied for the league lead in run-stop win rate at 43%. He could be someone to look at. He was also doubled 53% of the time. Second most in the National Football League among interior linemen. Is he an upgrade over what you currently have on the roster? Yeah, he is. So Grover Stewart could be very interesting. He also says...
Favorite character on Sesame Street, by the way.
Oh, my gosh, that's a
hell of a character.
Hell of a character.
Had the puppet.
Yes.
You know, back in the 80s when you actually had to play with toys.
Okay.
He had Maria wrapped around his finger, too.
Did he?
Oh, Maria.
Are they still?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. She like, oh, Grover.
Are they still?
Maria was that
Sesame
honey.
Street?
Yeah.
Sesame Street's still going?
Absolutely.
Hell yes, good. I'm glad. I was hoping Sesame Street would be here to stay forever. We also have, what if you just go all in and bring in one of Mike Zimmer's former players? Vikings defensive end Danielle Hunter. He's another top defender. He's entering free agency. He's a four-time Pro Bowler and led the NFL with 23 tackles for loss in 2023. He's got 27 sacks the last 2 seasons. You add Hunter, it might force you to trade or release the talented DeMarcus Lawrence. And I'll tell you, I love Tank. Tank's our guy. DeMarcus Lawrence is one of the best all-around ends in all of football.
I care about you. Be careful.
But if you do want to make a statement to that locker room, you want to say, we are not doing this burnt-out BS.
No more hot boys.
Do you move on?
Oh, gosh. I mean, if he really is...
If you were burnt out, you can get out.
Yeah, there you go. That's going to be the new T-shirt this year.
I love you, Tank. I do. Okay, I'm not trying to say that this is happening. I'm just floating it out for sports talk radio purposes here. Okay.
I think he's still too good on the field to want to remove. I know John Owning mentioned him. I wouldn't want
to remove him at all. But if you have a replacement in Danielle Hunter, at least I feel like I'm getting a quality player if you did do that.
Yeah, I do think Danielle Hunter's going to be expensive. I don't know that he's the same type of run defender on the edge that DeMarcus Lawrence is. So if he's that much of a nightmare in the locker room, which I don't know that he actually is, then maybe there would be a statement worth making, but I still think he's too good on the field. I do want to co-sign totally in on Grover Stewart. That's the defensive tackle. You want to go get a big monster run stuffer, that's his job. That's what he does. That's who he is. And I believe I saw that the Colts averaged 1 less yard per carry when he was on the field. So defensively, he
makes a Jonathan Hankins-like impact.
Yeah, very impactful when it comes to being a monster run defender. So count me in on Grover Stewart. That's a guy that won't be breaking the bank in a huge way, but he's not going to be NFL minimum kind of guy. So for the Cowboys, it'll feel like breaking the bank to get him. But I think that if you got him and then you got an Azeez Al-Shaair or whatever as a linebacker, I think that's cleaning up nicely in free agency. Then you go and attack the draft.
Man, that'd be fun right there. Also draft a running back, which I think they are going to do. I know, hey, you were anti-drafting a running back in the first round, but certainly we saw the impact that Jahmyr Gibbs had. This is not a draft where you're going to get a running back going in the first round. It's not that good, but you do have some guys that you can take maybe in the second if it's Trey Benson from Florida State. Hell, if you did bring back Tony Pollard just on a short-term deal, you could draft Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks is a guy I'm not sure when he's going to be able to play, but the Cowboys doctors have done his surgery. That makes you feel a little bit better. At least I know for sure I've got TP that can play, and when Jonathan Brooks is ready to go coming off that ACL, he can take over, be my lead dog. So there's some other running backs that you could take in the middle rounds, like Jalen Wright out of Tennessee, I like. Ray Davis out of Kentucky. Bucky Irving from Oregon is another player that's fun. Blake Corum, I know, gets a lot of love from Michigan. I do think he's going to be a Charger, but you definitely need to draft a running back. And then how about you draft a starter on the offensive line? This is a no-brainer. I mean, I think you need to upgrade over Tyler Biadasz. I'd love to go get Graham Barton. I'd love to get a Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. Maybe a Troy Fontenot from Washington who can play guard. But you need to get better along that offensive line.
Damn right you do.
100%. So these are all ways where Calvin Watkins is saying, if you want to go all in, this is how the Cowboys should do it.
Thank you, Calvin Watkins. That's genius journalism. And I can tell you right now, if they bring back Tyler Biotish, I'm Dunsky.
You're Dunsky?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would co-sign that.
No disrespect to Tyler Biotish.
No.
Maybe on a team with great guard play, he would be good enough, right? But right now with this team, they desperately need better offensive line play, and everybody we've talked to has said how important the center is there.
Yes.
You need a guy that can not only not get pushed over in pass pro, but also get out there, whip some ass, and actually go hit some linebackers every now and then.
Right, and when this offensive line kind of dipped off being that elite, as we've talked about with the Eagles over the last few years, it's when Travis Frederick unfortunately had to retire early due to the Guillain-Barré syndrome that he had there.
Nice work.
That was a tough one. I fumbled that for a second.
That wasn't even on the show bingo card. There was no way to prep for that.
I was leaking confidence the whole way, but I appreciate you guys having my back on that. So I think you need to upgrade, because I don't think Tyler Biotish, 2 years ago, solid player, but I think that was the best he's going to be. I'd let somebody else go ahead and sign him, especially with the draft class that this center group is looking like. There's no need to just bring back Tyler Biotish. You can upgrade at the position.
And think about 3 of the final 4 teams that remain. I don't know what San Francisco's got cooking with their center. I don't think it's anybody that's amazing.
It's nobody special.
But Kyle Shanahan can mask things that most can't offensively. But Detroit with Frank Ragnow, one of the best in the sport, if not the best. You have Baltimore, who has the undersized guy. Yeah, Linderbaum, who was there in the first round. Cowboys didn't want him.
Short arms.
But he's been a beast for Baltimore. And then the Chiefs with Creed Humphrey, minus the fact that in the Super Bowl he forgot how to shotgun snap a football. That was weird. He short-circuited in a way that I wasn't expecting. But they drafted him in the second round. He's been dynamite since they drafted him. You've got to have that. That's like the core of your offensive line. Like, you can almost only be as good. And like, if your center's dominant, then you have a chance to have a dominant offensive line. Tyler Biotish is far from that.
Yeah. And, 2-1-4, it's not all about pass protection. You need to be able to run block. You tell me how good that offensive line was looking when it comes to the run game. It's not all about dropping back and having Dak Prescott throw the football 30 to 40 times a game. That ain't a recipe for success in the postseason. I think that's been proven. You need to be able to line up and kind of bust somebody in the mouth and run the football. The offensive line, if you want to run it back from last year, was not one that it seems like they could do that. And you also have defensive tackle. Okay, now this could be the wish list for one Mike Zimmer. T. Sweat, Texas defensive tackle. We talked about Grover Stewart. T. Sweat's a guy that fits that kind of profile as well. 6'4", 362 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
He is an absolute manimal inside. I mean, he's a massive human being. He is the Grover Stewart type of this draft class. Probably going to go in the second round. If he's there when the Cowboys are on the clock, I would love it. He is an absolute fantastic monster, can take on double teams, also phenomenal in the running game. Doesn't give you much in pass rush, in my opinion, but I don't care. And for his size, he is freakishly athletic.
Dude, 362 pounds.
Yeah, freakish athlete at 362 pounds. I think that would be advantageous in football.
I don't expect the Cowboys, though, after drafting Mozzie high, and that is not their MO to draft the defensive tackle position high.
You don't think
I know the second round isn't the first round. I get that, but I still think that would be too rich for them, assuming they go get somebody like a Grover Stewart in free agency, where it's like, hey, we are still going to try and develop our Mozzie Smith here. We're not going to wedge another youngster rookie into this mix here. I don't think they will do that.
If Brian was here, I would remind him that his former boss, Bill Parcells, when talking about defensive linemen, would say stack them up like club sandwiches, because inevitably you'd say, but we just drafted Mozzie Smith and we have this guy and that guy and we want to give him time. He's like, man, just stack them up. Don't let the presence of one young guy think you don't need another young guy, because if you draft them all and they all turn out great, guess what? You are just absolutely raising hell along your defensive line, and no great defensive lineman can stay in there for 70 plays a game.
And he did.
Yeah.
903 can be your Don Terry Poe if you want it. He did catch some touchdowns. He lined up at tight end.
What?
Caught a couple of big man TDs. He caught one at the Big 12 championship game I was at with Oklahoma State and Texas. So we get some big man tutties. And I'm a fan of that.
Big man TDs are the best, dude.
That'd be fun.
That's always a party pleaser.
Linebackers.
Hey, that's a first round grade. I mean, you're talking about second round. All of a sudden, I'm thinking caution to the wind.
It wouldn't shock me if he snuck in. Somebody said, like, look, I just want to take you at the back end.
Two-way player?
He's not going to make it back.
Versatility,
start both ways. I do love that. I think Byron Murphy, his teammates, definitely going higher, but T'Vondre Sweat is a badass. Linebacker, maybe on the wish list for a Mike Zimmer. Free agent Frankie Louvu. I think he's probably going to command more money than the Cowboys want to pay him, but he's one of the better off-ball pass rushing linebackers in the NFL, had 9.5 sacks in a breakout season. If you go back and watch Frankie Louvu against the Cowboys, he was cleaning up. He was all over the place, had 62 stops against the run, ranked 12th in the league. He's one of the best middle linebackers on the market. So he does give you some of that flexibility where not only does he give you pass rush, but he's also giving you a phenomenal asset in terms of stopping the run. And I mentioned Junior Colson, the linebacker out of Michigan. Now, if you're a draft person, you want a deep dive, just go check out my guy Cedric Gray out of North Carolina. He's the dude that I want. Big fan of him. He can read diagnose, sideline to sideline. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Cedric Gray. He's the bigger version of Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who I know Brian loves.
Okay, so where are you drafting him at?
I think he's a third, fourth round dude.
Third, fourth round dude. That's beautiful.
Smoke it. And then free agency, bring back Gilly. And then Kool-Aid McKinstry could be a dude in the draft if you want to look at it. And if you just want to go crazy, you really want to go all in, just bring in my guy Antoine Winfield Jr. at safety.
Yes.
He can do everything. But it's an all-pro player.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, yes. He's probably
going to get tagged. I think he's going to get the tag there from Tampa. We can dream.
Did Winfield Sr. play for Zimmer in Minnesota, or did their times not cross over?
I don't think they crossed over.
Probably not.
But he did have a long career. I'll look. I don't think that they crossed over, though.
That would be just a dream scenario, and I'm not ruling it out. You know, you definitely know in that DNA of that family, the Jones family, there is a wildcatter. There's a guy willing to take a shot. He's still in there. Steven took over like the soul of the team relative to the salary cap and the risk profile that you're willing to accept. But even he can't deny 2025 is a salary cap dumpster fire already. Just make it like 50% worse. You're already biting the bullet. You're already behind the 8 ball. Go ahead and make it a little worse. Get a little irresponsible, because if you don't do it this year, I don't know the next time you're going to have enough good young players on this team. In 2026, how sure are you Zach and Tyron are still going to be good enough to play at a Super Bowl level?
Can't be.
They're hanging on now nicely. That was a good year, but they're at an age where you can't be sure. Tank, hell of a player right now. The way that he sets the edge, gives you a run defense, and also gives you pressures on the quarterback. That's a hell of an asset. If you go to just depending on Micah Parsons, you're already losing Dorrance Armstrong. That's the future that's out there in 2026. Those are difficult players to identify and develop. Yeah. You know, over the last 10, 12 years, Cowboys have been looking for pass rushers. They got 3 of them right now that they drafted and developed. And anytime one walks out the door, you're putting one more and more on an island. So this is the year to make it happen. You know, that's why I'm not giving up. Am I naive? Maybe. But I also know Jerry knows the fans are more fed up than ever. He's heard it from Michael Irvin. He's heard it from Emmitt Smith. He's heard it from all the legends. He doesn't have to hear it from the fans. He's hearing it from some of his greatest players of all time. They don't believe that they're doing championship front officing anymore. And I think all those factors combined could push them into a legit all-in move.